Welcome to the 5 on 5. Tonight I'm joined by Gail Gallaher. She is with the Oregon and Southwest Washington chapter of the ALS Association. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
So Gail, what is ALS? We've heard a lot about it because of the Ice Bucket Challenge that's kind of made the rounds on the internet, become viral. What is ALS?
Well, ALS is a progressive motor neuron disease that causes paralysis, and it is a fatal disease. It shortens people's lives. Oftentimes when people are diagnosed, they are told they will live about 2 to 5 years from the time of their diagnosis. And so not only does it shorten life, but it changes the quality of life for each person. The symptoms are very, very profound. People lose the ability to move their arms, their hands, their legs, their feet, to speak, to swallow. If you can imagine not being able just to even clear your throat or cough, because it affects also the muscles of the lungs and the diaphragm. So it really does change a person's function over time, and also therefore requires a lot of caregiving for the person living with ALS.
So terrible. How many people do you think have ALS in the Rogue Valley?
In the Valley, I'm guessing between 40 and 50 people. I personally know and am working with about 30 people right now, but there are always the people that I don't know. And so in the Oregon and Southwest Washington chapter, there are 500 families that we are currently working with.
And the ALS Association locally, the chapter that you're with, what services do you offer?
We have a really large and deep program that is specifically geared towards helping the person living with ALS and their family. We loan a lot of medical equipment, home medical equipment that is usually out of pocket for people to buy. We also loan very expensive power wheelchairs and communication devices, and so many people lose the ability to speak. There are computerized communication devices that can be loaned to people who need a means to communicate. And then we also have one-on-one visits in people's homes. I do a lot of home visits. I run support groups, and 2 different ones actually. One for the family caregivers of people with ALS, so they can trade ideas about how to get things done, and also a general support group that anyone can come to. And those both meet every month.
Wow, that's so good to hear that there's a nice support network for people suffering with ALS.
Mm-hmm.
We'll be right back, much more with Gail when we return. Welcome back to the 5 on 5. Again, I'm joined by Gail Gallaher with the Oregon and Southwest Washington chapter of the ALS Association. So many of us have heard a lot about ALS recently because of the Ice Bucket Challenge that has made the rounds on the internet. It's become viral. How has it benefited, I guess, ALS research? How has it trickled down locally to your ALS chapter?
Well, there has been a tremendous amount of money raised, and I know that currently the national organization they've set up a special committee to determine how and where to target those funds. Research is such a huge thing to us, and this will really help move research along. We're very, very excited about that, and that gives so much hope to the people living with ALS. As for trickling down, I'm not really sure right now how that's going to affect us, but I know that it will. And just impacting research really does help everybody in every chapter in the country.
And because of the Ice Bucket Challenge, has anybody reached out to the local ALS chapter to try to find out how to help, that kind of thing?
I've had so many calls, Christine. I've had calls for people that want to do challenges and make donations, but I've also had people call and say, I have a relative with ALS. Sometimes it's a relative within our area, sometimes it's out of state. But this awareness raising has really been significant, and we appreciate that as much as the funding.
And speaking of your local chapter, I hear there's a big walk coming up. When is it? Where can people do it?
This Sunday, September 7th, in Bear Creek Park. Registration's around 11 o'clock. The walk starts at 12. And people sometimes wonder, well, why are you raising more money locally? And that's because every ALS Association chapter has its own budget and raises its own funds to put on the programs that we have. And just as a unique thing in our chapter, we are one of the few chapters that has on staff a speech therapist. I mentioned the problems with speaking that people have, and so we have one speech therapist that is dedicated to helping people find the right equipment for speaking. And that's just one of the unique things that in our chapter we've decided to provide.
Absolutely. And this walk, do people have to pay? Is there a fee or is it donations?
It's donation. If anyone wants a walk t-shirt from the walk, there's a $25 fee. But otherwise, we welcome any donations or just come and walk.
And
the more the merrier.
Oh, of course, of course. And if anyone would like more information on the walk or your chapter, where can they go?
Our website is www.alsa.org.
Okay, perfect. Gail, thank you so much for your time and joining us.
Thank you so much.
Stay with us. We'll be right back.